Giullia Gomes, Senior Product Designer at Popsa. So please put your hands together.
Hello, designers and others, but mostly designers. Hi. Is everyone here a designer? Can you raise your hand if you're a designer? And if you're not, become one. Hi. Hello. So, like Miles said, as Light also says, let me start my timer. Sorry, just so I don't go over it. Okay. I'm going to talk beyond the basics of AI and data science and product design, as if you have not heard enough about AI for the past 2 years. So, trigger warning that I am going to be talking the word AI about 1 billion times. So if you want to keep track as I speak, and then in the end I'll give, £100 to someone that gets it right, that's a lie. Okay, either way, I swear to God I'm not going to just vomit a bunch of buzzwords and trendy things that have nothing to do with reality. I think it's just the opposite. I want to talk beyond these things. And I swear, I'm not your regular tech bro, I'm a cool tech bro. I just wanted to get some credentials and hear if you want to come with pitchforks later if I am actually a regular tech bro. But I've been working with machine learning products since 2017 with chatbots, remember when they were not on steroids? And for the past 3 years, I've been working at Popsa, which is a data science focused company here in the UK, a startup. And I'm nearly done with my master's in data science, specializing in AI. So yeah, I've been into the stuff, but I am a product designer in my day. But enough about me. And even though I've been going on in the whole AI rabbit hole, just like you, somewhere in the scale, I have been in the past few years just being really angry and anti-AI. It's going to ruin our careers and then after that, being okay, I really like this GPT thing, and I play with it a little bit, and then my wife would say I'm here, mentioning AI in every single conversation. Anywhere you are in this scale mixed up, you're gonna realize at some point that we do have to adapt to this new world, hating it or loving it. We just do because it's just the way that digital experiences are changing. So what's a nice thing about it is that if you love it or hate it, we just do the core thing that we do as designers, which is leaving something better than when we found it. So we just gonna do it one more time with the AI thing. And I think a really key thing for that is collaboration, which happens to be the theme of today. Really funny thing is that I think for the past 1.5 or 2 years, we've been talking lots about UX collaboration, but the way I wouldn't like us to talk about it, which has been mostly about UX or designers collaborating with AI tools. And I don't like that because of 2 reasons. The first one, is this okay? Am I talking too close to the mic? Okay, I'm a bit nervous. Okay, so the first reason why I don't like it that much is because it comes in this threatening thing, a new tool comes up and then there's a tweet saying, if you don't know how to use this tool, your career is over. That's not how it goes. And then the second thing is that being able to use these AI tools and mastering them is such a small part of what really makes you a good designer for this new world where AI is a big thing. And the thing that makes it really big and really makes us better designers, I think, in my opinion, is that being able to collaborate with data science. And I'm going to talk about that. We got you covered. Cool. So like I said, I think a small part in this whole new universe is using these AI tools ad hoc, like simple automations corporation, which is just how you do it because you're seeing other people doing it. And my company started everyone is kind of taking notes with AI tools now, so we're going to try to do that. And that's completely okay. There are really nice use cases for it, taking notes in interviews, within research, or highlight key points, find patterns in user research. Point out bias, I've been using that load, so I just send GPT, for example, my script for a research, and then I say, find bias in my questions. Or stuff like UX writing, trying different copy options, trying text, copying a UI in different languages, and the new from FEMA, which is the UI generation. Have anyone tried it? That's not really working, is it? Anyway. Okay, but I think that's small. We have other planets around us of nicer, bigger things that we can do. And I think the next thing that we should do as designers is trying to use these AI tools, but more strategy-based. So first, spotting problems. So this is a really nice exercise to do within your company, to just map your design operations, either issues or goals, and then trying to understand, can AI actually help us with any of those? Sometimes the answer might be no, but if yes, it can be cool. I'm not going to give too many examples because the goal is collaboration with data science, but just thought it was going to be useful. This is one of the examples from my company that we did that mapping, and we were not able to read through Trustpilot reviews because we received like thousands of them, and like 60% of them are going to be about price, for example, and you're interested in product. So what I did was creating a simple pipeline within with GPT to go through the reviews and then label them. So we flag which ones are about product. So every other chapter meeting, I sit down with the team and we read through the reviews that have to do with product. So there's more like complex and nicer ways of using AI to figure, and I think it starts when you go like reverse engineering, you think about the problem first, and then you try to find a solution for it. Right. So these are two things. Let's get bigger. And I think there's a whole galaxy of nice, I lost my train of thought. This sounded so much cooler in my head when I designed this, but it's okay. It's done. We're through it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about data science collaboration. I think it's kind of complicated to define data science because it's going to have different shapes and forms in every different company. Can you raise your hand if you definitely know that there's a data scientist in your company? Nice. You know that there's a data analyst of some sort with data science? Okay, cool. It doesn't really matter if you're not currently working with the data science, you definitely have someone that works with data in your team. And if not, you're going to work pretty soon, because if you Google like new jobs in the UK, there's like data science just spiking up over there. Anyway, so it's going to have different types of forms, but it's okay. We can still go. The reason why product design and data science do not really talk historically is because data science has been historically more either academic or kind of within BI and finance, like creating forecasts, that kind of stuff, until it started to make money. So as soon as product and data science started collaborating, and then companies started seeing how much profitable that can be, like YouTube popularizing like their idea of personalized algorithms, or the really known example of Netflix doing different types of artworks for different types of customers. It's just one example. And then from that, there's much more of it happening, and then you have more and more data science being hired for actual product companies. So there are lots of examples of company pushing for more collaboration within different areas. This is an example for Airbnb. And I'm only giving all this context, so if you don't want to believe me in that row, you can believe in like the movement that the field is making. So let's see how much time to do that. Okay, be cool. Right, let's go to the real thing, which is some 10 practical tips and takeaways for working with data science. You'll love number 4. I don't even know what's number 4. I just wanted to clickbait you into paying attention. Right. Okay. If we think completely in a simplistic way about how we do projects, I put in 3 steps, which is exploring, defining, delivering. And I'm going to start with delivering, which I think is not the easiest way, but I think the entry point that you can actually start to collaborate more with data science in your company without being too awkward. I'm going to tell you a story about a time that I had a problem. I personally had a problem between Rihanna and Beyonce, and how it sparkled product or UXers working with data science. Let's go back a few chapters. So basically, data science reached out to us. They were creating this facial recognition feature. They had a V1 out, and they said, "Can you guys from the team test it, see if it's cool, if there's any big problems?" Then I said that I was experiencing an issue of different people being clustered as the same person. You know, in your Apple, when you have like the people there, something like that. And they said, well, that is going to happen because this is how technology goes. And I was not too sure about that, not the technology thing, but there's nothing we can do about it. And I think it's really fair of them to say that's how the technology goes, but they need a little bit of like product lenses to understand, is there anything that we can do from the product side? Especially because I was kind of picking up that mostly the non-white people in my gallery were being clustered together. So like the problem was not really happening with white people, and I saw it happening with other devices of people that were testing. So I was like, okay, let's try to figure that out. And the problem was highlighted, as I said, with Rihanna. You had a cluster of Rihanna that had some Beyonce pics in it. And I was like, no, this is actually a problem there. So what I did was sitting down with the data science team, with one of the data scientists and like PM, and saying, okay, I'm experiencing this. Can we try to actually quantify the problem? And then this way we can actually sell it to stakeholders and say, okay, we cannot go to production with this problem happening. So basically, just the things that we do within UX, the same steps that we go about a problem, but within data science and collaborating with them. And it went really well. What I did was I created what I call a diverse data set of different kinds of people, not only like skin color, but also like how does the model performs with women wearing a hijab or people that have tattoo in the face. And then we're kind of quantifying based off that. And it really worked because the stakeholders were like sold and said, okay, you actually have a quantified problem, let's fix that. So that was nice. So my first takeaway for you is use your UX credentials to learn more about your data science projects, because we are quality stakeholders in a sense, you know, we are the advocates of the user, and also you can always like use that card to say, I'm just interested about what the user is going to think, and then you kind of nose in and try to understand the projects a little bit more. That being said, we are kind of responsible to set the quality bar for the data science projects as well. We're going to have a talk next talking about like how we collaborate with developers. So, you know, at the same way that we are responsible for a button working well or having like all the states, we are responsible as well in a way like to set the quality bar for the algorithms that we put out, everything that is behind the doors that is not just UI. With the great power of being that quality bar comes great responsibility, which is that, especially for putting out AI products, we cannot put like lack of diversity, bad results completely on the AI tab. Like AI is going to be AI and put out bad results or not being diverse and all. There are many, many things that us as product designers can do to make that better and make sure that we are reducing the risk of these results. And this is a shared responsibility with the data science team. So it's a nice way of bond together and say, okay, can we together try to make these results better? And to do that, it's important for us, I think, to learn and advocate about AI guardrails. And AI guardrails is these ways and techniques to try and make the results better. That's prompt engineering, bias mitigation. Bias mitigation is the example I gave before with the facial recognition thing. There are a lot of, I'm just saying buzzwords and all, but you can research the actual techniques, take a mental picture, or we can talk about it later. I know it seems kind of complex, and every time that I talk about this, there are red flags coming up and alerts being, I'm a designer, I'm not going to be that technical. But actually, it's just the same things that we do as UX designers, kind of expanding a little bit for the UX stuff. So in another example, I work at Popsa, and we help people create photo books with the help of AI, and we were doing AI caption feature. So in the sense, every time that we asked GPT to create a caption, it would put a hashtag in the end. It's a photo book, you don't really need a hashtag. So what I did was trying different prompts and saying, like quantifying which one of the prompts would put the least hashtags, for example. That's a really simple one, but if you don't want to do it yourself, you can push your data science team to do it. You just have to be responsible to say, okay, we can elevate these results a little bit. Anyone that does it doesn't really matter. You just have to really do it. This is another example of like human in the loop. So it's the buzzwords and techniques that you're going to hear, but it's basically instead of just giving an AI result to the user, you make sure that the person can actually edit the caption and do things with it. You just don't throw it out there. Am I making sense? Are you following? Nice nodding heads, thank you. Okay, if we go forward, I still have, I'm okay. Defining. So this is going to be short, but basically, and because this part should be something that we already do regardless of how the field is moving, but every time that I have my Figma file, I just put some like screenshots of some data, quantified data, especially when I cannot do qualitative research. And I think that's also a really nice way of starting to work together with your data team. The tip here is just know your data platforms, because that helps so much, like not only what do you use, if it's Google Analytics or a mixed panel, just know how to use it. And your data team can help with that. You can go and be like, hey, can you teach me the basics? And they're going to be like, probably, hopefully, happy to do it. And if you're already on that step, you already do a lot of this yourself. I changed this. Well, what I had in my mind was, what I do a lot is asking my data science team, like whatever I come up with the data to help me make decisions, I say, is there any other data point that I'm missing? Because usually they're going to have more than you. They are also like statistic experts, so it's really nice to make this a pairing exercise. Usually they're happy about it because data science is kind of a siloed team, so whenever I go to them and say, can you help me on this? They're usually happy. Okay, data exploring. This is interesting because some people are against, but I think you talked lots about going out to the other areas of your company and asking them about things. And if you were working on a product, I thought it was a really interesting dynamic for me to go to my data team and ask, what do you think product should be working on? Because they're looking so much through data and all, so they know stuff that you probably don't know. And it was really interesting. I'm not going to have the time to go through this case. Sorry, I'm just going to skip through those, but it's super cool. Really nice. It was brilliant. Anyway, just approaching the end there, so we have time for questions as well. I think this is really important because it's the starting of something new. Do not be scared of technical conversations. I know that I'm on the end of the spectrum and I'm like doing a master's in data science and I'm actually doing some coding myself because I'm going crazy. But this actually really, really helps, and some of the data science stuff are translatable, is that even a word? But we as designers are able to translate really complex stuff into something simple, and I think we should give the benefit that other teams are also able to do that. So hop into technical conversations until you get lost, you haven't found. That was beautiful. Okay. This is nice. So I said many ways of how you can go to your data science team and ask for stuff, but this is some like politics that is nice. Offer to help your data team with data visualization. Not just data visualization, but just I've helped a lot with specifically this facial recognition one, something that was a really hard sell for stakeholders, for them to do by themselves. So I just went and was like, do you want me to do a deck for you? And then we worked together to actually like create storytelling and talk to stakeholders. Or if you go to them and say, what are nice things they want to work on? And if you actually believe in something as well, go construct something with them, present with them. It really, really helps to just like grow their relationship, to give something back to them. Cool. What was that about? It's just going back to the big thing. Yeah, so I know it's getting pretty scary to talk about AI and how it's going to change your jobs. But I think, like I said here, that we also have something else to offer. It's not just us kind of like running around them and being like, can you teach me your ways because I need to learn about it. We also have so much to add to work along with them. And it's been really good for me to be that piece for my team that kind of puts the product lenses to data science as well. I'll come back. Yeah, so as soon as they started, this is the CTO of my company. And then I think 2 projects in that I work with data science, he sent me a message and he was like, can we blend your work title to be like product designer and data scientist or something like that? So it really communicates the power and the benefit that it comes from. Some of those are really fun, yeah. You can catch me changing my title name on LinkedIn every single week. Anyway, 10 and less. Do not, and I think this has to do with the whole AI thing, and this is almost me talking to myself, do not let the fear of new things overshadow the potential good that they can bring, especially with data science. It is kind of scary, things are overtaken, and then if you open LinkedIn, everyone's talking about it, and you're kind of in this like threatening term. And I'm scared. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we cannot control it. But what we can control is what we do until we get there. This is getting philosophical. This is my favorite phrase. When I showed this slide to my wife, she said, you say this all the time. That is the only way out is true. So if you're scared, if it's weird, if you don't know what's going to happen to your job or to your future, there's nothing that we can do about it, but just go. And I think, but the only way out is true and together. So, that's it. End.
Thank you very much, Giullia. There we go. Do we have any brave people who want to ask some questions? Got one here and one here. This is much closer, but I'll come to you later.
How do you think the role of a designer has changed since AI?
Great question. I think it depends on the company. And it depends as well on how much the company values the craft of designers, or if the company is more looking at profit, for example. I've seen in different industries like entertainment, for example, that lots of jobs have been cut because they think that this is, we can do something with average, something that a machine can create. I think what has changed so far, good question. I think we're more expected to know about this stuff. And what I've been seeing is that within different types of designers, like me, that are really into it, I've been very valued for it. And for some designers that are not too into it, they have been more pushed to do it. I don't think there's clear what's the word I'm looking for? Clear consequences so far that I have experienced. But I think that we have less junior designers being hired as well, because there's an expectation that AI is just gonna suppress that need, which is really sad. And also I've been very scared lately. That's it.
Thank you. We have another question back here.
Hello, thank you for a fantastic speech. And unfortunately, in our company, we don't have data scientists. And as a designer, I have to look into the data like log rockets to understand how people use our platforms. And sometimes I struggle to make most use of the platforms. So I wonder if there's any recommendations for us to learn more about data scientists as a designer.
That's a really good question. I think later I can talk about specifics, do this course or do this line of learning. But I think you can sometimes trust your PMs, because PMs are also expected to do more of data digging and all. So if you don't have a data person in your company, you can try to reach out for other people that are more businessy as you. But if you are doing the work yourself and trying to learn more, that's already really cool. Now I'm going to have to think a little bit about that, and then we can talk about it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That's it?
Thank you. Okay, there's another one right next to me. So amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Love your presentation today. And one question is that in terms of the human in the loop aspect of the product, have you ever worked on the level of with machine learning engineers to dig into the issues with user input and output, and maybe how the model receives feedback from the users?
Yes, and it's so hard. I didn't talk about Popsa. I did. It's an app for people to create photo books. They're all different sorts of things. So you imagine how much work we have done. So for example, what happens if someone is creating a book about a funeral, which we have a lot of people creating books about funerals. What if the prompt that we are using for AI captions is create a fun caption for X photo? That's a problem. So it's really tricky, this UX exercise, because you want to think through the use cases, but you're not the user and you're not going to think through all of that. So what we've been doing is trying to do AI guardrails before, releasing it to a few users, and then kind of extending what use cases we're not covering. It might not be the best solution, and I think as the field, we're also trying to figure out what are the best ways of doing it. How do we release these things? Luckily, we have not been too pressured in my company to just release without thinking. But I know that in some companies that has been the case. So that's how we've been dealing with it, trying to think previously some of the use cases, and then slowly trying to figure out some of the guardrails. That's it. It's not very easy.
Thank you.
Amazing. We have time for one last question. Sorry. Okay.
You mentioned that we designers can also bring some value to data team. Or I think they're very lucky, right? They usually not very much involved in politics. Anyone who wants some information comes to them, really lucky busters. So can you talk a bit more about how can we designers kind of generate value for the data team?
Yes.
Is that the way?
So the way I've been doing it, and I think it's one of the questions that came before, how do you create this higher level types of creating value if you're not even in management? So what I did was just getting close to the data science team. I was what are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? Can I join one of the chapter meetings to know about things? And I have found many times, sorry, I skipped through one really nice example that was the answer to your question, that sometimes they just have ideas and they go like, I don't know how to deal with that, because they are not complete my team. They were not educated about the product process of how things go through. So I just joined, I heard them, and I was like, let's do this together. So for some examples of when they wanted to do a feature, I said, let's do a deck together and try to sell it through stakeholders. Let's put together what are the cons, the pros. So that was my way, getting together, growing a relationship with the team and then trying to raise it more structurally within the company. And then at some point I changed my role to be kind of leading this area that doesn't exist between data science and product. So my advice for the beginning is just create a relationship with the people, try to understand what they struggle with, create some value to them, and then they're gonna welcome you to the pack. That's it.
Thank you very much. Everyone, please put your hands together for Giullia.